In the small, dusty town of Willow Creek, nestled between rolling hills and endless fields, lived a young man named Elias. At 25, Elias was known for two things: his grand dreams and his unmatched ability to avoid work. He'd sit on the porch of his creaky old house, staring at the sky, spinning tales of becoming a famous inventor, a wealthy trader, or even a legendary explorer. One day, he'd say, "I'll build something the world will never forget." But when it came to lifting a finger, Elias was nowhere to be found. His neighbors, a hard-working bunch, shook their heads. Old Farmer Jenkins, who'd tilled his land since he was a boy, would mutter, "Dreams don't plow fields, Elias." The blacksmith, Clara, would roll her eyes when Elias passed her shop, promising to revolutionize her forge with some vague invention he'd never sketch. Even the kids in town teased him, calling him Elias the Dreamer, as he napped under the oak tree, a half-read book on his chest. One crisp autumn evening, as the sun dipped below the hills, a stranger rode into Willow Creek. He was tall, weathered, with a scar across his cheek and eyes that seemed to hold 1,000 stories. He tied his horse outside the tavern and walked in, his boots thudding against the wooden floor. The townsfolk whispered, but Elias, slouched at a table with a mug of cider, barely noticed, until the stranger sat across from him. "You're Elias, aren't you?" the man said, his voice low but commanding. Elias blinked, caught off guard. "Heard you've got big plans. That true?" Elias straightened, puffing out his chest. "Course it's true. I'm gonna change the world. Just waiting for the right moment." The stranger smirked. "The right moment, huh? Name's Jonah. I used to be like you, full of ambition, short on action. Let me tell you a story." Jonah leaned forward, his scar catching the firelight. 20 years ago, I was a dreamer in a town not unlike this one. Wanted to be a shipbuilder, craft vessels to sail the globe. I'd sketch designs, talk big, but every time I had to sand wood or hammer nails, I'd find an excuse. "Tomorrow," I'd say. Then one day, a storm hit. Flooded the river, washed away half the town, including the shipyard where I could have worked. The man who owned it, old Harlan, lost everything. But you know what he did? He started over. Built a new yard with his own hands, no excuses. By the time I got my act together, Harlan's ships were sailing oceans, and I was still sketching in the dirt. Elias shifted, uncomfortable. So what? He got lucky. Lucky? Jonah laughed, sharp and bitter. Boy, luck's got nothing to do with it. Harlan worked when it hurt, when he was tired, when hope was gone. That's what builds dreams. Not waiting for the right moment. The tavern grew quiet. Elias felt the weight of Jonah's words, but his pride bristled. "I'll get to it," he mumbled. "I just need time." Jonah stood, tossing a coin on the table. "Time's a thief, Elias. It'll rob you blind if you let it. Here's a challenge: do one thing, toward your dream by sunrise. Or spend your life wondering what could have been." With that, he walked out, leaving Elias staring at his cider. That night, Elias couldn't sleep. Jonah's story gnawed at him. He thought of Harlan, rebuilding after the flood. He thought of Jenkins' fields, Clara's forge, the kids who mocked him. For the first time, shame crept in. He wasn't just lazy, he was wasting himself. At dawn, Elias made a choice. He rummaged through his cluttered room, finding an old notebook filled with half-baked ideas. One caught his eye, a design for a water pump to help farmers like Jenkins irrigate fields faster. It was rough, incomplete, but it was something. Heart pounding, he grabbed his coat and marched to Clara's forge. "Clara," he said, voice shaky but determined, "I need your help. I've got an idea, and I want to build it. Today." Clara raised an eyebrow, wiping soot from her hands. "You work? This I gotta see." For the next week, Elias showed up at the forge every morning. His hands blistered, his back ached, and he cursed every time he messed up. Clara was relentless, teaching him to weld, cut, and shape metal. Jenkins lent tools and advice. Even the kids stopped by, curious, no longer laughing. Elias worked through failures, a pump that leaked, a gear that snapped, but he didn't quit. Each setback fueled him more. By the next month, Elias had a prototype. It wasn't perfect, but it worked, pulling water from a stream into a test trough faster than any hand pump in Willow Creek. Jenkins tried it and grinned, his weathered face lighting up. "Boy, you've got something here." Word spread. Farmers from nearby towns came to see Elias's pump. He refined it, built more, and soon orders poured in. Elias hired the kids to help, teaching them as Clara had taught him. He paid Jenkins for his advice, thanked Clara with a new set of tools. Willow Creek buzzed with pride for their once lazy dreamer. One evening, as snow dusted the hills, Jonah rode back into town. He found Elias at the forge, now his workshop, tweaking a new design. Jonah dismounted, a faint smile on his scarred face. "Heard you did it," he said. "Built something real." Elias, hands stained with grease, grinned. "Told you I would. Just needed a push." Jonah shook his head. "Nah, Elias. You needed to push yourself. That's the difference between dreamers and doers." Elias never forgot that lesson. He built a business, then a legacy, his pumps saving countless farms from drought. He still dreamed big, but now he worked bigger. And in Willow Creek, they told his story to every kid who dared to dream, proof that ambition without action is just a wish, but ambition with grit can change the world.